Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on responding to quality improvement recommendations in RHOADS. My name is Danielle, and I serve as the Executive Director for Ohio Recovery Housing. We are using Teams today for our webinar, so if you do have questions, you are welcome to ask those. There's a question and answer box as well as a chat box. I'll be looking at these at the end to make sure that we've answered all of your questions. So please do feel free to enter any questions throughout the webinar today. I'm hoping that this won't take us the whole hour, but just in case, if you have a lot of questions, you feel free to ask them and we will respond to them. So our objectives for today is to really focus in on entering in quality improvements and responding to those quality improvement recommendations via our RHOADS system. Now, if you have not yet submitted your application and you're looking for a more broader overview of the entire application, that's a much longer webinar. We do offer those as well. We have a recording on our website, and and there should be a new recording there posted shortly as well. But today we wanted to offer a shorter webinar for folks who have already seen everything under that initial webinar. They have their application submitted. They're just preparing to respond to quality improvement recommendations. So we're going to be really focusing in on that today. So we're going to go over what a quality improvement is, like what's our language around that, how to respond to requests for quality improvement within the RHOADS system, how to use RHOADS to do that, and then also give you some best practice tips and reminders on how to do that successfully. So first, what is a quality improvement? This is something that you need to address to move forward in your application process. When your application is assigned to certification review coordinator, they will go through your entire application. So everything that you have entered, as well as all of the documents that you have submitted. And the most common types of quality improvements that we see is that there's something missing in your policies. So maybe you forgot to enter in a phone number, or you were not as explicitly clear as our measures require about something in your policies. We will note that, and you will have to make an adjustment to your policies. Similarly, if there's inappropriate language in your policies, you may be asked to remove that and to update your policy and submit an updated policy. Also, if your policies are missing, sometimes even with our system, we might see that there's a policy missing. You might have to upload that policy. And then finally, if policies are not consistent with one another. Being consistent is very important for us in our process. So if we find something that is inconsistent amongst your policies, we will ask you to correct that so that way everything is consistent. All right. And so how do you know if you have quality improvements to address? So our timeline is that it takes about 8 to 10 weeks for your application to be assigned to a reviewer. So no one is going to be looking at your application until it is assigned to a reviewer. And then from there, the reviewer will take about 2 weeks to review all of your documents, all of your policies and procedures, all of the information that you have submitted to us. And then you will get an email. And you can also log in to see your certification status. And I'm just showing here an example. This is what the email looks like. It'll come from admin@ohiorecoveryhousing.org. It'll be sent to the email address that you used to complete your application. So it's a good idea to make sure that email address is correct. And it'll say that your application needs policies updated and have some information and due dates within the email that you need to respond by. And then you can click the link to view the report or click the green button to log into RHOADS and to see what policies and things need to be changed. And if you just give me a second, I'm going to pull up. Okay, oops. All right. So now on the screen as well, once you log in, this is what you will see. You will see your certification status, and you will see that you have submitted your application to ORH. And then previously, this blue button would not be here, but now that you have a quality improvement plan in place, this blue button will be here. So I know many people, they have aggressive spam filters and things like that on. So if you do not get the email, you are always welcome to log into RHOADS every couple of days or so to check and see, hey, has the quality improvement plan been put in place? So again, you can add that to your whitelist, our email address to the whitelist, so you can make sure you're getting the emails from us. But I also encourage people to be like, hey, if you believe it's been enough time and you should have a quality improvement report ready, you can log in and see like, hey, is my quality improvement plan ready? It'll show up here. And so you can just click on that button and it will take you to your quality improvement plan. And I'm just going to switch back over to the slides for a minute. So the first thing you need to do is to sign in to RHOADS. I know I brought up that screen as a way to, hold on, I think I've got a question. So if you have a question, because it's just hard for me to unmute people and stuff. So if you have a question, just type it into the question box or the chat box, and I will get to that. So when you click on the button first, because I was already signed in, it kind of took me right to that page, but you will have to sign in. And so, go to the RHOADS page and you will click sign in. And then from there, you will have to type in your username and your email address and your password. And as a friendly reminder, remember that your email and password are case sensitive. So my email address is Danielle@ohiorecoveryhousing.org. Now, if I had capitalized Danielle in here, it might reject me and be like, hey, you don't have an account, you need to register, because it is case sensitive. So make sure that you are typing in your email with the same capitalization that you used before, as well as don't add any additional spaces or things at the end of your email address. So that way, it recognizes your email and it is using that same email and password. But again, if you do not remember your password, if you forgot your password, there is a password reset button where you can reset your password to get into the system. And then once you get in, you will see that screen that I was showing you with your certification status. It'll have the little blue button to view your quality improvement plan. And then you will respond to each item in the plan. So I'm going to bring our little screen back up here. So this is, an example of what you'll see. You see I've got a fake organization here. Your organization name will be here. And then you will see, look, there's 4 findings for this fake organization, and you will have to go through each one of these findings. So the first is for this organization is in the addressing neighbor concerns policy. And so here the measure that we didn't meet was that the neighbor concerns policy contains the name and contact information of a person that neighbors can contact with concerns. And our recommendation, what you are required to do, is to update your addressing neighbor concerns policy to include specific name and contact information for the person who is responsible for neighbor concerns. And so you cannot open up your policy directly in the system, but you can, click here to download the current version, and that will show up, and you'll be able to open up the current version that was uploaded, and then you can make edits to that document and then resave that document so it is now a new version, and then you'll be able to upload that new file. And so here in my system, how I did here is I put on my desktop a folder documents for application, and then within that I have my updated policies. And so I've got version 2 here of my neighbor concerns policy. I can open that. And then you can click the pink orange button here, replace old file, and it will now say, hey, look, it is version 2 of the file. So you've got your current new version. And if you have any comments that you would like to add, you can say, hey, made the edit on page 2, whatever it is. You can save your comment, and now the reviewer can see your comments. And then you let us know it's ready for review. And now you can see here that it's checked off. There's a little green check mark that this one is ready for review, and you have 3 findings that need reviewed. And so here in your application, so this organization, the measure that wasn't met was the organization as an appropriate vision statement. and then see reviewer notes for why the vision statement was not appropriate. So here you can type in your new vision statement, so there's no document associated here, so you can just say new vision statement and then update. And there is your updated vision statement. And then you can say, hey, it's ready for review. And then it will go into ready for review. So you can review your, or the RH staff can see that that has been updated. So the others here, again, kind of similar things. The medication policy, once again, you can see the measure that was not met, what exactly you need to do to meet that measure. You can download the related document, and then when you're ready, upload the new file, replace that file. So now it has been replaced, and then you can add any comments, but if you don't have any comments, you can just say, hey, it's ready for review, and it'll show ready for review. And then one more time for this one, I've got an update to the privacy policy, so you can upload your privacy policy and then click ready for review. And now that I've addressed all 4 of those issues, you can see this section here is now turned green, where you can return your application to the reviewer. So you can only do this once all of the issues are addressed. And then it is important that you click this button. If you don't click this button, the reviewer's not going to know that your response is ready to be reviewed. But you will click that button and you'll say, hey, I'm telling the reviewer I'm done with the revisions. And then it'll say, hey, you got a submitted notification that you've submitted your revisions. And you can see here in your application, there are now a couple different versions of your application that are available for you to see, like, hey, in my first application, I did some revisions, it was returned, and now the most recent version was submitted here on February 18th. So you've got, all of the list of those versions. And you will get another email from ORH that confirms, hey, your revisions have been submitted, and your reviewer will take a look at that. And then pay attention to the due date. I ask that, or I highly advise that people make sure that they submit their responses, before the due date. And to be respectful of everyone, we must have you stick to these due dates. Because we have a ton of applications in our queue. I believe right now there are over 140 organizations waiting in our waiting list. And so to be respectful of everyone, we ask that you stick to these deadlines so we can move forward with your application and get through your application so we can get those to those waiting behind you in line. And your response must be complete. And yes, there are ways to kind of trick the system. So you can upload a blank document or upload the same exact document that you did before in order to switch those things over to saying, hey, we addressed them. But this will not be considered a complete response. And if we don't get that complete response back by the due date, then your application will be considered to be lapsed, and we will move on to the next applicant, and you will have to resubmit your application and go to the end of the line. So please pay attention to that due date. Make sure you send your response early. And then again, the reviewer, if you send it in early, the reviewer may have time to look at it and make sure that it is okay. And also, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to your reviewer. They are more than happy to set up a call or a virtual meeting with you to make sure that you understand everything that you need to do and that you address all of the issues that have been identified. They are more than happy to take that phone call, set up that meeting, so that way you understand what you need to do and you can make sure your response is complete. Take advantage of that opportunity because, like I said, if it is incomplete and we hit that due date, your application will lapse and that will cost you a lot of time. Also, we will only be able to review your policies a maximum of 3 times. So this is your initial review. And then if you have corrections that need to be made, we will review those corrections. And then if there are still issues, we will perform one final review. Again, this all needs to be done before the deadline. So if you don't get your response in until the absolute deadline, you're only getting that secondary review, and you've passed on any chance of getting a final third review because you waited until the absolute deadline. But again, to be respectful of everyone, we cannot review your application more than 3 times. It just takes a lot of time and attention. And we have had a lot of people submitting, their documents, the same exact thing without making any edits over and over. And that's, again, it's just not fair to those who are waiting and who are doing everything that they need to do to get their certification. So again, take advantage of the fact that our reviewers are available to you for a phone call, for a virtual meeting, to walk you through everything that you need to know and everything that you need to do to make sure that your response is complete. Take advantage of that opportunity so that way, your response will be complete and you won't run out of chances, to have your application reviewed. And then once all of those things are addressed, that is when we move on to scheduling the on-site visit. We cannot schedule an on-site visit until those policies and procedures are complete. How quickly this happens depends on many factors, such as your availability, your responsiveness to our scheduling requests, and the availability of peer reviewers who are joining us on these reviews. So there's many factors that go into that, but please be aware, and again, the more flexible and available you are, the faster we can get that on the schedule. And so before you're on site, once those documents of yours are finalized, print the appropriate policies and put them in your home. You will also get a copy of the interview tool that we use. Please ask all of the appropriate members of your team who can answer the questions on the interview tool to attend the on-site visit so they can answer those questions for us. And then be sure that you have appropriate documentation, to demonstrate to us that your policies are being implemented in practice. So we're going to want to see copies of your signed resident agreements. You don't need to upload those into RHOADS. We don't want, any resident names or anything like that, uploaded into RHOADS. That's okay. You don't need to do that. But when we're on site, we're going to ask you, can you show us some signed resident agreements? We're going to ask you, can you show us your drug screening documentation? Show us, how you're documenting this so we can see, your log. We're going to ask to see the signed position descriptions that you have saying that, hey, your team did sign off on their responsibilities. And if you don't have them available, so again, you've uploaded all these beautiful policies to us, but you don't have the demonstration and documentation that's being implemented in practice, that's going to cause a further issue for you, and there's going to be more quality improvement recommendations that you need to address later on. And also, please go through the dwelling review checklist. This is the same exact things that our reviewers look for when they're on site. You can avoid having a lot of dwelling related quality improvements if you just walk through your home with that checklist and make sure that you can also check off everything on that checklist. And again, if you have questions, please contact us. We are more than happy to set up a phone call with you to discuss your property, especially if you're panicking because you think you might have to do thousands of dollars of renovation or anything like that. Pick up the phone and call us. We will talk to you. And again, we can't tell you whether or not something's going to pass without seeing it. We can give you some good information and talk you through some things before you write a huge check for something you may or may not need to do, or for something that may or may not meet our measures. So again, please take advantage of our team and set up those meetings. And just some other tips, RHOADS is new. This is a new system, and especially this process here with updating for your quality improvements, that is something that we are phasing in right now. We are doing this in stages, and so we are constantly updating RHOADS. We typically make updates on Sunday nights, so if you log into RHOADS on Monday and things are looking a little bit different, or if you are working late on Sunday and you see, hey, wait, things are looking different, that's probably why. If features are not working or you're frustrated, please fill out a help desk ticket or give us a call or send us an email. We usually respond within a business day. We are pretty quick on those things. And I'm just going to show you here in the RHOADS screen, there's submit help desk or help request. Just click on that. Let us know a little bit about your issue and then a phone number so we can reach out to you. And please give us about 48 hours for us to respond. But like I said, usually we're addressing these within the business day. And this is the best way to ask for help because these tickets, they go not only to our staff, but also to our developers. So we're getting the actual computer expertise seeing these and addressing these. So you, of course, are more than welcome to email or call our team, but certainly if you can submit these help desk tickets as well, so that way everyone who might be able to help you can see the ticket and start addressing your issue. And once again, we get a lot of questions about how long the process takes. And right now it is about 8 to 10 weeks for your application to be assigned to a certification review coordinator. And then from there, it's about 2 weeks for the certification review coordinator to review your application. And then again, we give you that time frame to make any corrections. And so how speedily you move through that can either shorten or lengthen the amount of time you're in the process. And then it will take us 2 to 3 weeks to get your on-site scheduled. And then about 2 weeks for your certification review coordinator to get you your on-site report and any final quality improvements you need to make. And then again, you have that time frame to make any issues. It could be much shorter if your property meets all the quality standards, you don't have any improvements, or you make those very quickly. And then there's your final approval by the ORH committee that meets once a month. And so again, if something does not look right, please ask for help. This is a brand new system. We know that there can be issues that pop up. We make updates, and then sometimes a feature that was working yesterday won't be working today. We understand it is frustrating, but please do call us, submit a help desk ticket, or email us. And I will let you know as well, our team is often on the road visiting houses, or we are on the phone, we're on phone calls, we're running webinars like this. So please leave a message. If you just call us and hang up, we don't know what you're calling about. We don't know, it could be a wrong number, but please leave us a message and we do respond to all of those voicemails. So if you call us and we're not able to pick up the phone, please leave us a message and then we will call you back. And then if you need to make changes to your application, this is something else we get all the time. Once you submit your application, you cannot make changes. So if your application is already submitted, unfortunately, you cannot make changes. If you need to make changes to your application, what you need to do is tell us and we will reject your application and that will reopen it for you. And then you can make changes and then you must resubmit. But that also means you go to the end of the line in terms of the queue. So please reserve that for any major changes that you need, like you need to add a house or you need to change an address or something like that because you made a big mistake and those are wrong. But this is why we tell people to be sure everything is correct before you click submit, because if we have to reject the application and reopen it, you have to go to the end of the line. And then extensions. And so we do offer extensions for the certification process. So for example, if we ask you to make a repair and it's taking you longer than anticipated, or like say the contractor cancels on you and you weren't able to get your repair done, then you can request an extension of your deadline. I guess an example that's more appropriate for this is say you needed to update your position descriptions. And in order to do that, your board of directors needs to take a vote on it and vote to approve the new executive director's position description. And they're not meeting until the week after your deadline. That's not something that's out of your control. So you can fill out the form to get an extension. And then we will consider that extension and approve or deny that extension request. but you must do the request for an extension using our online form. Email requests and phone calls are not accepted. As you can imagine, we get a ton of email and a ton of phone calls. So for your sanity and ours, fill out the extension form so that way we know we have to do what we need to do within the system to make sure that if you are granted an extension, it's entered appropriately and your application does not lapse inadvertently. And so please do fill out that form. And so extensions are only provided for unforeseen circumstances or emergencies, and they must be requested prior to the deadline. So if your deadline is February 15th and you fill out an extension form on February 18th, that is not appropriate. The deadline has already passed. You need to fill out the extension form prior to the deadline. And again, the farther in advance you could fill that out, the better it is for everybody to keep us all sane. And I will show you where on our website the extension form is. So if you go to ohiorecoveryhousing.org and then certification, on our measures page, you can see under timelines and extensions, our entire policies on extensions and extensions criteria, and then also the request for extension form. You can just click there and fill out the very simple form. And unfortunately, we cannot provide extensions for the January 1st, 2025 certification deadline. We get that asked that all the time, and we cannot provide an extension for that. That is written into the Ohio law, and we do not have the authority to change that. So while we can give you extensions for the process, if you meet the criteria, we cannot change the January 1st, 2025 extension deadline. So some key takeaways for you. Call or email us if you have questions or need help. We are available to you. Please take advantage of that, especially in making sure that your responses to quality improvements are complete. Please make sure that your application and your responses are complete and accurate. Again, once you click submit or once you return that to the reviewer, you cannot make changes. And so making sure that it is complete is very important. And then review all materials carefully to prepare for your on-site visit. So that way you can be very prepared. And then take advantage of any of our trainings, technical assistance, and tools and guides that are offered. And if you need something that's not available, let us know, and we will do our best to meet your needs. And so with that, I'm going to see if there are any questions. All right, I am not seeing any questions in the chat box or in the question and answer section. Like I said, I was hoping this would be more of a brief webinar, just going over our how to respond to quality improvements using the RHOADS system. I hope it has been helpful. I know it is new for everyone. So like I was saying, if you get your quality improvement report and you're confused or you have questions, please let us know. We are planning on posting a recording of this webinar and the slides onto our website as well. So that way you can have that resource. And there's also, when you get your quality improvement report, there's also a link in that email for instructions that you can download and use as well. So yeah, so right here, our guide to uploading, you can click on that and download instructions there as well. We just want to provide the information, all sorts of formats, so that way you have it. Yep, and still not seeing any questions or chats. And so with that, thank you all very much. We look forward to seeing you at your on-site visits or seeing you at a future RH training. I hope everybody has a wonderful afternoon.